Good evening, everyone. I know we're supposed to start now, but we'll just exercise patience for like 2 to 3 minutes for others to join. Please confirm you can hear me with any reactions of your choice. All right, thank you very much, Emmanuel. So we'll just wait for like 2 to 3 minutes for others to join so we can kickstart. Thank you for your patience. All right. This is exactly 3 minutes from the last time I came. All right, so without wasting much of our time, we started this topic last week Tuesday, and then we'll be commencing the part 2 of it this week, today rather. So if you were not around as at last week when the part 1 aired, you can access it on our YouTube channel, so you can really understand the flow of the whole section. So without wasting much time, I'll be inviting a speaker tonight in the person of Miss Engineer Samuel Denga to take over the floor. Please react with your favorite emoji as we welcome him. Thank you.
Okay.
Nobody
Good
is
evening.
reacting. Samuel, hold on. Nobody is reacting. Hold on, Samuel. Nobody is reacting. Okay, I can see Olua. Okay, Lillian, it's just Lillian that is reacting. Okay. Now you're coming. So someone can take over the floor. Thank you.
Confirm you can hear me, please. Confirm you can hear me, please.
You are coming out clear, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. So, without taking much of our time, I'll just dive right in. So, the last time we spoke, let me just give a summary of what we did the last time. So, can we see my screen? Please confirm you can see my screen.
Yeah, I can see from my end.
Okay, good. So, welcome everyone to today's lightning talk session. So, um, uh, this is like I would say the part three, yeah, because the part two, the session we had on Saturday really took us, gave us a very good overview of what hub sub um, implementation really is, but the focus is on Kafka. and I was amazed that Kafka is winning the war, even though I started out with RabbitMQ. So that's eye opener. So we started last Tuesday. So today I won't be doing much talking because we have been hearing theories right from on Tuesday, Saturday, and today. So I'll be doing, let's say, heavy on code, on the code side. So it should just be like a code session. But before that, let me just recap. Let's just recap the session. So we spoke about RabbitMQ, and the core of it is how the system itself work, and which is pub and sub. Like there's a publisher, which is the producer, and then there's a consumer. Get so the consumer subscribes to a channel, and that channel now the producer publishes to that channel, and then when let's say when an action or payload is published to a particular channel, they now have like some let's say mechanism of getting it through the queue, or getting to the queue and getting it to that actual consumer. You get so four of those key things we discussed were the we'll call it sorry, the types of exchange, and we say we have the direct exchange, you have the topic exchange, you have the fan out exchange, you have the header exchange. All this, I believe, with okay. Let me just remain on this. So we have the direct exchange is exact key route. So it's with this key you can direct where it's going, like where which consumer should actually receive this particular information that is being published by the consumer. And then there's the topic exchange, which uses patterns. You get, which is a pattern. This is what you use for real-time messaging, because every consumer is unique on the channel. So one queue, but then how does that queue know who to send it to is through that particular pattern, which can be the user unique username. You get, that's right. Username does we don't have multiple username. We have like just one unique username. You get, so we know who to route that particular message to. So there's the fan out, which is like a broadcast. It's just broadcast to everybody, and then there's the other exchange, which is very less common. So that's the summary of it. So I'll just dive right into the code because I don't want to spend time on this. So the code, what we for the topic, what we said we are going to be looking at is real-time messaging app. So this is something if you want to solve it to, let's say, real-time. Okay, hmm, what the documentation. Okay, all the documentation and the code base will be sent eventually. What is it? Said I'm attending the class today for the first time. Okay, no problem. We'll drop the link to the WhatsApp and the documentation. Okay, I don't know if I can send it here. Let's do that. Okay, we'll drop the documentation. So let me just jump right into the code. I'll try as much as possible to go back and forth. So mm, let me stop sharing.
Can we do that at the end of the section, please?
Yeah.
All right.
So, let me share that screen. Okay, so please confirm you can see my IntelliJ. Can you see my IntelliJ?
Yes.
Okay, good. So the front end is already ready, but it's very skeleton. It's very skinny. So we'll just connect. So you see how it works real time. You can play with it. You can do so, but we'll be coding many of it. The only thing we have currently here now is the sorry, give me a minute. If my light is out, let me stop. Sorry, give me. Okay. Alright. Okay, so well, the only thing we have here on this code base is the Docker Compose for the RabbitMQ. So this will help us spin up instead of just setting it on your local machine. Now, the reason why I always approach dev dependencies this way, like when it comes to let's say working with your database, working with what else again? Everything that you can post on the server, like Redis and other stuff. The reason why I approach it with Docker is so that let's say when you are working as a team, when you're working as a team in the tech industry, what you want to do, what you want to help your other developers with, and one thing that actually very most commonly happen, and even where I work, I think I experienced that where the local version of a particular let's say MySQL that the other devs were using was not in sync with what I'm using, and then sometimes we're having clashes. You get so, but what this dockerizing those dev dependencies does for you is that it's I would say it streamlines and it synchronizes every versions that you want to use because what you just have to run with, you just have to run with what you defined in the Docker compose. You get so that's why I really love using even for my if I'm using MySQL or I just use it from Docker, not from my Docker, especially when I'm building with team instead of when I'm building with a group of people as a team. So so this is where our RabbitMQ will be running from. So this is the port that will be exposed. This is the port that will be exposed. This is the port it is on the doc. It uses internally. So this is the port also. This is for the UI. Yeah, this is for the UI, the console UI. You can access this. This is the port. It's just Docker. There's Docker internal. The reason why you see two ports, there's Docker internal, the one that Docker uses internally. So for Docker to expose the those things for you to use externally, it gives you another port for you to. You can use another port, so it mustn't be the same port. So likewise, this is for the WebSocket. We'll be using this for the WebSocket. So this is what the Docker uses internally. This is what the Docker uses. Okay, yeah, internally, and this is what it exposes. So next, this is the this is the username, this is the password, the default password. Just keeping everything simple, and then stop. Very important. Yeah, it's very important that you allow this because you'll be having calls or click on. So, and this is the where it should be stored temporarily. And also this is very important because a real-time messaging app. So the connection we want to create is a stateful WebSocket connection, so and it's over Stomp. You get over Stomp, so you need to enable the Stomp plugin on the RabbitMQ. So this is very important. This is very important. So we enable the Stomp plugin. Without this, the WebSocket, the real-time messaging app will not work because this real-time is managed by over the WebSocket. Yeah. So everything we have here so far is empty. So the logic, what we want to do is very simple. It's very straightforward. So is what we want to do is to first of all the WebSocket is established. So it will create a connection by default. Once you spin the RabbitMQ up, it just create a WebSocket connection from your backend to your client. If your client is awake, you have to create a WebSocket connection. So once you route a message, let's say you make a request from a controller, let's say you want to send a message, use a REST API. Normally, what you want to do if you are using WebSocket, not what you want to do, what you would have done by default if you are using WebSocket is to use the WebSocket to send and then receive from the subscription side, the consumer side, you get. But even when I'm using WebSocket, I don't do that. Use REST API to send, because that WebSocket connection is very expensive, especially for at the front end side. Very expensive. You get. So what you want to do is to expose, and by default, that's what RabbitMQ does. You just expose REST endpoints to send the message, and then you listen, like the subscribers listen, and then those that are subscribed to that particular channel, they receive it. So the okay, so let's first, what we want to do is to create the entity. Speaking too much. So what entity do we want to create? Let's start. This is a message app. We just create one. We just need one entity. So you look at the package structure. We have the controller. We have DTO entity exceptions, just to get some knowledge instead of returning default error. We just need some knowledgeable what's going on. And then the payload. That's how this is my own way of structuring my monolithic. Let's say it's app actually. So this is repository and then service and then utility, any other things that I need to like support my service class. So let's start with the entity now. Let's call it message. Okay. The very fast way. Which is going to be okay. So we only need receiver message. Get content. We call the front end private string. And then one last thing we need, that's if you want to, but we'll not do that endpoint to get all messages. Message ID. Now, normally, if you are building a message, like a message app, what you want to do, you want to have a conversation. You want to have like a conversation between two users that now contains the different message, the many messages sent. But for this one, just to keep it simple, we have our message ID inside of the message. So this is what we uniquely mark conversation between two users instead of having a different user that contains the different messages. So I don't know if we're following. Can you hear me? I'll need a voice that because I cannot see the image. Can
We
you hear
can
me?
hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
Uh, Okay, good. So for the DTO, let me just create message DTO. Changes on for this just its contents. With private that's So let me just create a constructor for that. About the Yes. Yes. Pepper. Okay. So that's that for the basic ones. The message, the messaging app will have like before we have the public and private message. So it will handle both of them. But we just want something that will handle both public and private. Let me see. Am I missing something? Okay. Mm, okay, next what we want to do is position. Yes. Okay. Okay. So what else? Okay, the payload now. What I usually do, I have a because for flexibility purpose, I have the receiver payload, the payload for request payload, and then the response payload. The DTO there just contains everything that the entity has, but for payload, payload has to be flexible, and sometimes there are some things you need. For me, that's the way I structure my payload. Sometimes there are some things you need, there are some things you don't need. So I just define it there. But the other thing that this causes is that you just have many payload for different requests you get. So I think you would definitely have to find a better way for that. Message request, message request, request. Message response. So the request will just make this content private. So for this the request, the message ID will be constructed inside of the service. So We don't need. We don't need. We don't need that inside. This is the question. So what else? The response now should contain everything here. Like that, yes. And also it will contain the response will contain the violence ID and then the message ID. Um, okay. Mm. Oh, okay. I missed something. I would have to add for the requests. I just add like it's just add okay. So we have our repo, we have our payload, we have the entity. So one other thing you want to do is to map. You have your entity, you want to map it to your DTO because you don't want to return entity to avoid. The best way to avoid is the JSON reference looping, having a content, an entity inside of another entity, and that entity has that entity inside of that entity. So you have like one infinite loop. The best way is to have your DTO. That's what we have already established. So what you now do after that is to have a utility class that maps it for you. Very easy. So let me call this mapper. Although there are tools to do this, there's I think there's model mapper and there's this subject mapper also. And let's just let me say message. Let me call it message. Okay. So I want to public, not to make it static. Let's say message. Message. Then public static. Okay, this time okay. This method overloading. So yes. Okay. So for this you can just new message. I think I'm mixing. Check. You did say it's supposed to be sender, receiver, content, message ID. Sorry, just a minute. Okay, sorry. Okay, you have the sender, receiver, content, receiver. Right? Message. Message. Okay. Ah. Oh. This for. Sorry. Sorry. This message. Message. Mm, photo. Contents. Okay. I don't think I have this now. So let me just create this. Mm, mm, okay. English. Okay, storage. Okay. So I think we are done with all the utilities. So let's just jump into the service itself. And by default, you want to have your interface for decoupling. Let me switch message interface. And message. I message service. So the only what we only need here is send message. So we don't need to put public. Let's say what are we returning? We are returning message response. Send message, and we are taking message into actual. No, just need message as implement and message. So before we do that, let me complete this section now. Let us create a global exception. Okay. Global. Advisor. This for okay. I just put it that way. Just global. So specific response. Public response. Okay. So return response. Was what we want. Click on this. I think I'm missing it. Okay. Now, okay. Okay. So we have our global exception set. So let's go into the service now. So the logic I use for this is we just need the if when you are sending to a particular user because um the we I just explained I just previously explained the we are going to be using topic. So if you are sending to a particular, let's say the user you are sending to is let's say Samuel. Now the pattern the suffixing pattern that you add in the routing key will be Samuel. So when it gets to the key, the queue knows to give that message to Samuel, that the person on the other side that is subscribed as Samuel. You get it knows to give that message to Samuel. So now for when we are sending for public now, we can just set our receiver as default public. So when there's no receiver in the payload, because the message it will, instead of sending as parameter, it will check the payload. Once the receiver is null, once the receiver is null, what it does is it's by default it will just set it will set the receiver end to public. So public now will now be the general message settings where every public message goes. That's the way it is. That's the way the front end will handle it now. Every message that goes to public is for public message, and every message that go to, let's say, a username, it will be routed to that particular user. Yet, so that's the logic here. So let's see the service class. Okay, so this service start on service. Private. I use at required element the private. Take so much time. Let me just speed through. You need a repository. Sorry, private final message. Message. Repository. What's message? Message. So far I've been with private. So private is private final message. Private request mapping. I say required. 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 So far I've been building. I've forgotten about the RabbitMQ itself. So let me just create RabbitMQ config. RabbitMQ config. So in our last, I think I need to fact. So RabbitMQ. Then inside of RabbitMQ, we have the RabbitMQ config. This thing has one bad character. Let me just stop. Once you just create an internal one, you won't be able to access the external one. So let me just create the RabbitMQ config here. RabbitMQ config. What else? We need the producer now. RabbitMQ producer. So that's the only two things we need. Normally, I would have created a consumer to console log the message that was sending. For now, let's just. So, three things that we need the key exchange, we need the routing key, and we need the queue. Then, the beans, and one of the beans that will add is the binder. What binds the key exchange, the routing key, and the queue together. So let's do that now. So we won't be needing a consumer because we are sending to a client. Yes. So that's- so private final static. Please, can you hear me? I don't know, my network is somehow bad. Can you hear me?
Yeah, your voice is
Yes, we
coming.
can hear you.
Okay, good. Sorry, I've been talking for a very long time. I'll soon wrap up. Yes. Okay. So I think I know maybe string with public. Okay, I need it to be public because I'll access it later. String the exchange name. Exchange name. Photos. You need the LTP pattern. Public 15. Okay, let me change this now to new charts. Q the charts. Okay, since we're using topic, so we need a pattern to have message it's here marks so that you'll be able to attach um, dynamic names to it. So first thing public rising topic. This topic and then those need Q but Q then lastly what you need the binder. So the binder binds the Q topic exchange and the routing key. So one other thing we need normally if you are doing your let's say basic let's say you are just setting it up, these three things are very much enough. But what we are sending is not just a literal string or a byte array. We are sending we are sending the Java object, the raw Java object. So normally what it uses by default is a simple object converter, which is not very much capable of handling raw Java object as it is. So what we need now, we need to include the Jackson message converter so that it will be able to handle that in the Rabbit template. So that should do. Sorry. Let's just go with no, it's really cool. That's supposed to be. is deprecated. Okay, this is a warning. This is a warning. But let's just work with it for now. And, so we'll include this in our template, RabbitMQ templates. Costume. So, and this should do for our Rabbit. This should do for our RabbitMQ setup. So just ignore this. This is just one, but you have to try look into it when you're building for large scale. So the producer does the producing. So it's the one that sends the message. So this is what will be picked up in our service class that will send the message from our client from our, let's say, our client who is the producer to the consumer who will be listening on the other side. So this is the service. So the reason why we're using auto wire here is because we are not going to be using the default RabbitMQ template. So we've created a costume one. So we need this qualifier to pick it up. Costume, how do I call it? So to be able to select this as a so this is what it will inject into the RabbitMQ template instead of using the default simple message converter. Sorry. So what it will be doing for us, probably where it takes in our message into, and then it publishes it. Rabbit template. Routing key message. Rabbit key. Routing key will be gotten from our service class. Yeah, we declared use config exchange. That's what it will be doing. And just let's just log what it says. So log before this should work. So let's just message sent to routing key. So message sent to look using log from content. You can do message dot get sender message get content. So this is if you console log this. And that's the simple setup for our RabbitMQ, and we are good to go. So finally, the service class. Let's just do this and go on. Apologies for taking our time. So, like I explained, public will be sent to general message specific specific to individual. Let's say to so if you check our identity, you see that okay. I'll send message with you. I'll send it in our message with you. Okay, the receiver I've set it here. So by default, once the receiver is not set it from the message, that means you are sending it to a public. You just set the receiver to a public. So that's what our service will receive and then route it to public. So let me just complete the service. Just small word. Uh, First of all, want to generate message ID. So how the message ID looks like to, let's say, okay, for now we are not going to be doing a get. We are not going to be doing a get message for time's sake. So I'll just keep the message generate message ID for now. So what you want to pay attention to is let's see because we don't want RabbitMQ to be waiting for our DB. So we can just put DB transactions saving to the DB inside of we can make it put it inside of an asynchronous process using completable features. So, sorry, um, sorry, async. So what this will contain is a simplicity to message mapper. Uh, message dot map. What I will giving it a message. So it's for now we don't need that. I'll just that's that for that. We save the message and then producer now does its job. RabbitMQ. Okay, I've not injected that. The private final RabbitMQ. Producer does the job of send message detail. And that is all we need. Sorry, I do not. Okay. I think I must have passed. Am I getting this? Oh. Okay. I'm sending to witness to our page. Yes. We don't need it for now. Let me just. Don't need that for now. Let me just. Without thinking. Don't need that. Sorry. Let me go to. Let me correct that page. I think. I think you should be. Oh. Sorry. think I guess where it's coming from. Generates. Let me just put it here. So, what our routing key should do for us now? Remember, we've declared in our rabbit config this. So these are routing key. So this is the pattern we'll be matching. We'll pick this this here and this here, and then merge it with that particular user we are sending to. So let me complete that now. So to be chat. Okay. Let me see. So this will be our routing. So this will be our routing key. So whatever whichever person, let's say our receiver is somewhere to the chat message dot somewhere. But if the receiver is empty, by default, our message detail we've already set a default. We have already set a default for it, so it will route it to public. So you don't need any if condition there. So just simply do the routing for us, and that's all we need for this particular for our backend. Let me say message sent. That's all we need. Okay, am I returning? Huh? I'm just instead of this because there's no time. I'm just downstream. Stream. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just downstream for now. So our controller will be very simple. Message controller. Um, so what we want to inject it should be our message service. iMessage, iMessage service, message service. So it should work. So I want to send let's say post request. Post post nothing. Send message. So what we want here is string to results to message this. Then we return responsibility to results. So that's all we are returning. So I think this should work fine for our messaging app. All this with this we are done with the messaging app. I apologize for taking our time. So we'll test it out now. Uh, so I want to show us something very important before one. So this Docker Compose here, I think I explained it the last time. We have a Docker there, so we don't have to manually start it up. We don't have to do that manually. So this Docker Compose will start the Docker Compose for us when we run the app. So let me just run this. Hopefully there is no error. Okay, it's starting up. Starting so it has created the container. Okay, I think that's all. Is this still loading? Okay, let me check. Let me check Postman. Send message. Connect something. Okay, it has not started fully. Please click on this. Error cutting the message controller. Where is the error? Error cutting the name. So okay, I think that's the one that it gave us the last time. Let me see. This is very much ignorable. Let me confirm. Hmm, Jackson to message. Jackson to message converter should be fine. This is just a warning. Add that is duplicated in the version. I think this version. I think this is Spring Boot version I'm using. Let me let me I need to oh I think it's the version error. Let me change the version. It should take time. Wait. Yeah, I should use 3.5.7. Let me see if it will pick up. I know it will, it will do this. Let me just okay. Let me just copy this. Um, Sorry about that. The version that particular version is no longer a Spring Boot 4, so that's why it's not working. So let me just um say, okay. So the only thing that needs to remove is this. Just One second. Okay, so I think we're back on track. So apologies for taking our time. I strongly apologize. I thought this would be very fast. Okay, this is the last part. I think once this is up, and just go ahead. It's testing with the front end. Okay. Oh, Docker already up. Okay, it's not starting. Okay, I think we're fine now. Okay, good. We're fine now. So let me just try Postman. Invalid requires connection. Start. Let me check my controller. Send message. Send down. Okay, so we are getting some errors. Um, so because of our time, if this does not work, let me just use right. So the code base is very much the same. Let me switch to this. So we can see it. Um, Let me share this. Okay, so it's up now. Let me try. Code is pretty much the same. So when we send, it's still loading. It's still loading.
All right, Sam,
Yeah,
can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
All right. So while we are waiting for it to load, right? I think
No, no.
someone need clarification. Quinta.
Okay, on what?
So
Okay, on
she's
what?
saying if you can use analogy to explain exactly what the code entails, including how the files
Oh,
relate to each other and why are you having all those files, or this will take time. Just example of the scenario, then you can relate with code. Like she's kind of confused. So that's
okay,
our
okay, good.
second question. Yeah.
Okay, 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 good. So, I think the service is up now. So when I show you from the front end, I think you'll be able to understand. So let me just in the front end. It's ready. So let me share all my screen. So can you see the front end? Can you see the front end? Hello, hello.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, we can.
Okay,
yeah.
okay, good. So this is the front end. So So we'll assume that the postman is like the other user. So the postman, the sender here is Bob, because I don't want to log in somewhere else again. So the postman here is Bob and the receiver is Alice. Now we check the front end. We see that the person that is logged in currently now is Alice. So if you see the front end, let me just show you some front end. So the front end is quite. It's just that it's not fine, but the code is quite much. So um, I want to show us where the message is being received. So try to show. No, 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 okay, so this is for public conversion. So this is for public. Okay? Public conversion. This for to user ID. No, this for private. This for a private user, and also this works for public also because we are sending once it's public we route it somewhere else. You get. So, but I think what I did here, I separated the public from the malicious. Okay, so this is where the subscriber. This is where you subscribe to the public. This is where you subscribe to the public. You subscribe to the public channel. So where once a message is sent to this chat message dot public, the public message receives it, and once it's sent to this to a particular username, that particular username receives it, and that particular user now that's currently logged in is Alice. So the particular that is currently logged in is Alice. So who will send to Alice now? Alice, there's Bob, there's Carol, there's Dave. So if Bob sends to Alice, it will reflect here. This not message, it's sketch. That's why you're seeing another message. So if it's Carol, you see Carol. If it's Dave, you see Dave. You're just the way your WhatsApp works. So let me send from Carol. Carol. So Carol is the sender, and the receiver is Alice, and the content is message one. So once it's sent, by default, Alice should receive. Now let me split the screen so that you see that it happens real time. So let me open for Dave now. Dave has not sent any message to. Dave has not sent any message to Alice. So let's do Dave. Dave. So once Dave sends message, see it your time. So Dave sends message. Now if we remove the receiver here, so the way the logic is, once there's no receiver, it picks up the default receiver, which is public. So let's say to public. Public. You see, this is the public space. So the public space should receive that message. So Dave send the message to the public. So that's how the backend works. That's what we did on the backend. This is how it's working in real time. So it's picking up the RabbitMQ is publishing these things in real time because we enable the stomp plugin, which is what this is how I think that's how Java uses to route to it uses Stomp over WebSocket. So that's when you're working with Java now. It uses Stomp over WebSocket. So WebSocket establishes a stateful connection from end to end. So it's listening in real time. So once you send the message, it picks it up. You get so by default the RabbitMQ itself is not real time. You get it's the publisher, a producer need to act and then the receiver receives it. So but once you enable a Stomp plugin, now you listen on that particular port, that particular channel which I showed you on the front end. Now once you publish, the Stomp sends that in real time, and those that are listening on that particular channel will receive it. So we have for Carol, we have for Bob. You get so that's the structure, that's the whole entire design. So I've taken too much of our time. I apologize for that. I should have reduced the code a bit. So Any other question? Sorry, I don't know if I answered the question you asked me.
Yeah, so there's another question. Thank you very much for your time. So, firstly, she asks why, okay, what happened instead of using as setters or as getters, maybe one of the entities you created? Why not just use add data instead? So why are you just using as setters or add getters? So that was our first question, the same person.
Okay, okay, yeah, my mentor, Mr. Shego. So, and I believe that's very true. When you use a data contains more than a setter and a getter. It contains everything, and on your entity, you really don't need those other stuffs. You get. So it's based on what you explained. You say it's like you are burdening the entity, and you don't want that on the entity class. So you just specify what you actually want. And most of the time, you can need all arguments. You can need all argument constructor or no argument constructor in your entity. You might not need all argument constructor. So that's setter getter instead of, because the at data contains more things, just more than not just your at setter and at getters. You get, so it's just like they are putting every, just like those that have done Java, use JavaScript or Node. When you do your npm install, it installs many things, those that you need and those that you will not use. So it becomes very heavy for your application. You get. So that's why he advised us not to use, when we are doing it on entity. He advised not to use at data. You can just use at data and get what you specifically need for entity. So that's why I'm using. I use when I'm working with entity. I use at data and at data.
All right, thank you very much. Please, is there any other question from any person? Something you want to ask? You can signify by raising up your hands. Thank you. So this lady is actually ready for you today. So now she wants to speak out. So you can unmute and speak. So if you're speaking, we can't hear you. Can you hear me? So we can't hear you if you're speaking. Maybe you can drop your message in the chat instead. We can't hear you. Any other questions
No.
to ask? Okay, someone said hello. Who's that? Is there another person that have any other question? Excuse me.
Okay. So apologies once again for taking our time. I really apologize. Uh,
So
and thank
Quinta,
you.
oh sorry Sam, Quinta, we've already exceeded our time limit. We're supposed to close the section or end the section by 9:30, but we are close to 10 o'clock, 5 minutes to 10. So what will happen is that maybe someone will send you his LinkedIn details, whatever way you can reach out to him personally, and then he can devote a 1 hour, 2 hour section to explain it more better for you. So we can end the section so other persons can go back to what they were doing. So for those that joined, that stayed from the beginning to the ending, we just want to say a very big thank you for being part of this community and for supporting us. We say thank you, and we hope we didn't waste your time for this period you stayed with us. So we'll be having another section again by Tuesday, the same time and the same venue. Hope to see you next week Tuesday as well. You can inform your friends and invite them to join us. Thank you for having us tonight. Thank you. Can have a good night rest. Why Sam is going to post both the code base and the slide to you tomorrow. Thank you and good night, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Samuel. Thank you, Gloria.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.